Merry Christmas, everyone! And right after Christmas, we are headed to 2021, which is our new year. Now, we are hoping that the new year will be better than this year. Unless you've been living under a rock, we all know that 2020 have been a tremendously different year for all of us worldwide. And the best thing to celebrate this season, I believe, is to reflect and learn the wisdom that 2020 have given us so that when we turn to 2021, we will not forget the lesson that we had in 2020. So let's talk about what 2020 taught you and me. Hi everyone, welcome to Entrepreneur. My name is Tere and I am an entrepreneur based in Singapore. So before this year ends, and we know we have been having a lot of celebration and a lot of many pockets of events because of the limitations of the season in 2020. But before this year ends, my encouragement to you is let's reflect on all this wisdom that we've had. Now, I've got 10 lessons that I would like to share with you on the things that I have learned personally and the people around me have learned during this season. So number one is health is the best wealth. I've learned it the hard way as well. During the pandemic time, despite of what happened, there are opportunities for greater businesses or even more businesses. And because of the Zoom technology, instead of meeting people face to face, we realized that we can meet a lot of people without leaving your house via Zoom. The staying home period can magnify our wrong habits in us. It is exactly what happened to me. I have developed a severe case of gastritis because of way too many meetings and neglecting the timing and the hour of food. A lot of times I just don't feel hungry. So I decided not to eat so much or even skip the meal. But then there was a tremendous pain that I have to bring myself alone to the emergency room in the midst of the COVID. I had to because I just can't bear the pain. That has taught me that health is the greater wealth at this point. There's no point just overly becoming so workaholic and becoming so responsible with what we do. If our health will suffer, then we will leave all this thing behind. As an entrepreneur, sometimes it becomes much more of a duty and a great responsibility for us to take care of everything of other people's livelihood. But if you neglect the part that is your health, it's very hard to recover once health is being attacked. Number two is essential versus non-essential. And I live in the part of town in Singapore where all these luxury good items in a mall are available. And I remember during the lockdown period, I would run around and see the entire mall and all these expensive brands have to be closed down because they are not essentials to life. And that gives us a very important lesson that in the grand scheme of things, these are not the most important thing in life. And that identifying what is essential in our personal life, in our finances, in the way we spend our money, in the way we spend our time, it has given us the wisdom. Now, we have seen this also in businesses that only essential businesses are allowed to operate as per normal, and the rest will have to operate in a not so normal way, and they have to be content working from home. We should apply this in our own life, in our own decision making, and always identifying what is essential and what is not essential. I have this colleague who shared that her learning is identifying essentials and non-essentials even on her things because she's been a very sentimental person, a hoarder if you may, and she has kept a lot of things. But she had to come a point into her life to realize what is essential for me, prioritize what is important. And I hope that we will continue to keep this wisdom in all aspects in our lives. There are certain areas in our lives where we might have not applied this yet. Ask yourself, what is essential for me here? What are the things that are not so important that has to take a back seat? When we go out and spend money in a mall, it's important to always have a mental note of the needs and wants. I believe that we should not forget about this wisdom even when the economy opens up. Okay? Essential and non-essential should always be the thing that keeps us knocking us back and grounding us back into proper decision making. Number three, a lot of people got lost in this season. It is normal, in fact, if you feel lost at a certain point in your life. I'm here to tell you that it is all right. It is a time to forgive yourself for not knowing all the answers for everything, because the pandemic has shaken up a lot of our old normal, and we kind of live in a new normal, or we call this a new way of living for the time being. The wisdom behind being lost is to identify what are the things that you can change and reinvent about yourself. There's some things in your life that doesn't work anymore. It may not be the way you should be doing things. And the key here is to be brave and to be honest enough to yourself to say, I am going to change that area. I am going to accept that these are the new change, and I am going to reinvent. The wisdom behind the 2020 pandemic is to teach us to be someone new. And the new you is not necessarily the best you yet, but the new you will become a better you when you embrace that your life is coming into a changing season, and there are things that you need to embrace and to adapt. One of the things that I have done myself is this. I reinvented in the area of management in my business. I need to be stronger in how I build my business. I need to be stronger in how I build my team. And one of the things that I have reinvented is to embrace the truth that a lot of people are going to learn online and actually be exposed online. So my heart is to always give back. Therefore, I've decided I am going to create a YouTube channel that will encourage people and will give people insights. And not just that, this YouTube channel will be having interviews of seasoned entrepreneurs and successful entrepreneurs for more than a decade. So I want that because I see that more and more people are going to venture into this, whether by choice or by force, because of the too many changes on many industries due to the pandemic. I believe that entrepreneurship is one of the way to go. This is why I reinvented and created this channel and get myself into this YouTube era. This is not something that I enjoy doing on a daily basis. In fact, I kind of dread a lot of times creating a video, but the more I do this and the more that I impart, the more I enjoy it. It's okay to feel lost at times, to feel that maybe my old skills are already not working anymore. So what are the ways that I can channel new skills or adapt and create new skills for myself? I encourage you to do that too and read that. Number 4 is resilience. The pandemic taught us to be stronger, because what happened during difficult times, we don't get weaker. Difficult times allow us to be stronger. So Steve Maraboli said in his quote, and I quote, life does not get much easier or more forgiving, but we get stronger and we get resilient. I believe that it brought out the resilient side in you, that you can actually get up and fight, that you can actually last. Even though life can present you a very difficult situation, you can be resilient. And I've seen people having breakthrough during this season. You know, it's not all gloom and doom. There are people who decided to get up and forgive themselves, go back there and try again. You know, there are people who had failures or disappointment upon disappointments in life, and the pandemic kind of like throw them like a fish out of the water. What happened there is they just get stronger. So there are situations in life where things will be difficult, whether it's pandemic or not, but difficulties will allow you to be stronger and be resilient. So the best thing is to make a decision to be one. So that is the wisdom behind that. Number 5 is changing fast. Because the pandemic happened too fast, a lot of us have a need to be very adaptable and change. And change is the only constant thing in life. We have to be reminded of that, because we always thought that things will just be the same. And I think we got spoiled and got used to it. With the amount of great technology around us, with life being much, much more easier than before, during the pandemic time, we had a hard time actually changing because we are not so used to changing so much and allow that change to happen into our lives. And the most difficult thing about changing is that really you will fail. And that is the one thing that a lot of people are dreading to have. We get humiliated by failure. But surprise, surprise, all of us, you and me, are going to change. And even up to this moment, we are still going through changes in our lives. When your company is putting up new technology, instead of complaining in your head that the last time, the last version or the Jurassic version is better because you are actually very good at it, instead of complaining about that, embrace it and say, I'm gonna have to change. This season, we have no choice but to change, and we are all charged to be changed and to be a changed person. And the only way to change for the better is to never complain, because that's the only thing that will slow you down. The moment you wake up and you complain about the new things that are happening in your life, the difficulty and the nuances of all this change that are happening, the slower you will get and the slower you will get back up into action. So stop complaining, adapt to change, and have that accelerated change. What are the things in the area of your life that you are being thrust to change? You're gonna have to learn from that change, and you're gonna have to grow by making a decision. Number 6 is not everything will go as you have planned. As a financial planner myself, the realization of we can plan, but other things will have to come in and disrupt all that. The key here is to say you wait for the right timing. If this is not the right timing for you, then maybe you should not push for that plan. And everything happens for a reason anyway. So to accept that not everything that you plan out for. I know people plan their travels for like the entire year and none of those things happen. Do not let it get the best of you. Sometimes people get lost because of that, because everything that they have planned did not happen. I know people are supposed to get married, but their plans have to be halted. Just be forgiving of this season. Be forgiving of each other. Be forgiving of yourself. I think it's a great exercise to do that, because when things do not happen as you plan, you got no one to blame right now. We can blame the government. We can blame the weather. We can blame China for whatever it is. It is not going to change a single bit. But just to understand that in life, not everything that you plan will have to be realized. So instead of kicking and screaming like a spoiled kid, let's take on alternative route. Let's take on the waiting. Let's go into the waiting room. Or we look at the plan perhaps and say, hey, this plan need not to happen. Ask yourself whether this is really worth pursuing and it's really worth firing about. I think that's very important value, and it's also a good exercise for you to realize whether it is an essential thing or a non-essential thing. Number 7 is to let go. A lot of times our ego have caused us to just not accept things as it is right now. The wisdom of this season is just to allow you to let go and to not get yourself just identified with the money that you make, with the achievement that you make, and with the position that you have. Ego is the biggest enemy of change. Ego is the biggest enemy of progress. So if you would like to become much more resilient and succeed in this season, let go of your ego, let it go, just like the Frozen song. Number 8 is follow, because right now, everybody do not know what the solution to this. A lot of countries are even in a mess right now. The reason being is an utter disrespect sometimes to authority and the inability to follow and just criticize it. But instead of criticizing, instead of questioning, follow. Nobody knows the exact solution to this. Even after the vaccine, they're still not so sure. At the time that I am doing this filming, there's a news that says that even after 2 vaccines, there's no guarantee that it will all go back to normal. We do not know all the answers. So are the people in the government. So are even the people in the healthcare. But the thing is, we have to follow authorities and authority figure that will have to make a decision, a right decision to this. Of course, there are leaders who didn't make the right decision, but instead of blaming, instead of complaining and instead of criticizing, which will give you a lot of derangement syndrome. The way to deal with this is to say, what is the right thing to follow? And how can I follow better? Because at this point, whatever this virus has brought us to is not up to me. I'm not totally on for vaccines, to be honest. But if that is a requirement, I have to relook at it. I believe that this pandemic, we can already surpass this and survive this. But on the other hand, I know also of situations where people's condition, with their good health and all, they are still in critical condition in the hospital. But at the end of the day, is always realize that to follow. And the main thing for me is to pray, to leave it all to God and say, give me the wisdom to follow. Number 9 is being grateful. The wisdom of this pandemic is to be grateful with what you have. I've learned this season to value family, to value friendship, to value my relatives, to value my loved ones, because these are the people that you have at the end of the day. And we need not to be on our deathbed to say, oh, I need my family to be with me. By starting to be grateful right now and realizing that you are so much blessed. Be grateful, and that is one of the wisdom in 2020. Last but not the least, number 10, we have realized that in 2020, we are not just resilient, we are strong. We become strong by choosing not to be a victim of our situation. There will be people who will be victimized by anything, be it their childhood, be it by the government, be it by the wrong system, whatever that is, no one is a victim. And you should be strong regardless of your race, language, or religion. And all of us are vulnerable. We are all in the same playing field, regardless whether you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth or not, or in poverty. All of us are actually vulnerable in this situation. But one thing I have to tell you, we become strong by not allowing ourselves becoming a victim of our circumstance. The wisdom of the 2020 is to tell you that you are strong. You can celebrate. Even though you can only celebrate with few numbers of people in a very limited way, hey, you can celebrate. You can practice your faith, even though churches are closed, even though you're not allowed to even sing in the church and praise and worship. Hey, you can worship at home. You can turn on the YouTube, you can turn on the internet and play your favorite worship song. And you can still pray. I have a prayer group in Zoom. Nothing is limiting us to do that. You can still pray and you can still believe God for this and for that. You can pray for each other. 2020 wisdom said, you are strong, not because you have huge muscles, but because you have chosen not to be a victim of your circumstance. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's quite a lot of things to pack, and I believe that it is more than 10. There are many, many wisdom that we have learned during this season. Are there things that you have learned during the 2020 pandemic season? Write it down on the comment below and do share so that it will bless others. If you have not subscribed yet, click on the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you can be notified on our next video. So let's not forget the wisdom we got on year 2020. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. This has been Tere. Thank you for stopping by. I'm cheering you on and I'll see you again. Bye.